You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about how to be resourceful in our life when things are not going the way we plan, or if we have a plan and then it goes off-roading and off charts and it's just not the way we designed. How do we get resourceful? How do we utilize the time, the people, even the skills that we have in our life so that we can get ourselves back on track and attain the vision and goals that we have for ourselves? So we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to have our inspirational guest, Teresa Sullivan, in our next segment. And her story is one that's not only inspiring, but it's educational on what it's like being diagnosed with AIDS and HIV and then living with that condition. So you don't want to miss that one. Also, if you have an inspirational story that you'd like to share with our audience, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. The show is based upon your stories and educating and motivating each other each week. Now, if you have questions on today's topic, if you want to become more resourceful in your life and you're not sure how or where to turn, reach out to us again at connect@livingfullout.com. Again, that's connect@livingfullout.com. And if you want to hear today's show again, make sure you go to livingfullout.com. Just click on our radio show tab, and all of our episodes will be waiting there for you. I know that I get emails from listeners who really appreciate the fact that they can go back and listen to an interview again because they're inspired the first time, yet they want to be re-motivated. So there you go. Now, when we talk about resources, the first thing you want to consider is admitting what's not working. And so over the course of today's show, really hone in your life what changes need to be made so that we can give you the right resources to overcome those hurdles. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy. Thanks for letting me call in.
Well, thank you for calling in. How can we help you today?
So I am wondering, I've been working in the social work field for about a year now, and the population that I work with homeless teenagers, which is an amazing population, but it's also, I meet them at a time of trauma and hardship. I'm wondering how to be able to separate work from like my personal life and school with that deep emotional impact. I'm so glad that you're asking this question, because sometimes in life we have to compartmentalize, and it's not because we don't want to blend the worlds. Obviously your volunteer, or your work with the homeless, or other areas of your life. How you relate to your family, people that you might be dating, your career outside of the volunteer work. So it's a really important question, and it kind of folds into self-care. One of the things you want to consider is when you're in that role and you're motivating and you're supporting these teams, you just want to give 110% of yourself as much as you can in that moment, and really be there with them and stand beside them, not behind them, not in front of them, but right there beside them, and be a soft place for them to fall, be that person that they can turn to for resources. Now, when your shift is over, when you get in your car or you take the bus or you're kind of leaving the work environment, then you have to find some way to switch the energy. That might be listening to a song on your phone or any recorder that kind of gets you excited or gets you motivated into the next phase of your day. So like for me, sometimes I'll be coaching and it'll be heavy call after heavy call, and then I have to go into the mode where I have to maybe prep a speech, or I'm working on the radio show and I have to switch that heaviness. So I'll turn to a song that inspires me. I'll find one that lifts me up, or I'll find one that, takes me to a time that gets me in the right mindset of my life. And so
you want to consider that as well. Sometimes it could also be when you get home, first thing you do is jump in the shower, warm shower, cold shower, whatever you want. That also can switch the energy. Sometimes it's as simple as having a beverage, drinking something. A lot of times when we're stressed and we're anxious, our mouth gets dry, our throat can get tight, our whole body can get stiff. And so you want to stretch, you want to have a beverage. Again, it's all about changing the energy, allowing yourself to step into a different mindset. Have you tried those avenues?
So music has been a thing that I have always loved, always been very passionate about. But I love that tip you just gave with like the stretching, the shower, just stuff like that, because that's something that after working like 15 hours or anything, that's like something that I don't think about, but it's very important. And then just realizing that does help.
Yeah, and with music, since music is such a big pull for you in your life, I would put together playlists for the various aspects of your life. For example, you might have one playlist from when you're helping the teens, kind of getting you things, that playlists that you might listen to going into work, maybe on a break if you have to kind of reset and allow yourself to get into a place where you're most productive for them. And then have another playlist for when you leave, calming music, or maybe music that gets you all revved up and excited. There could be a playlist for when you're getting ready to work out, a romantic playlist if you're getting ready for a date, and just kind of have all these things on standby, all these music choices so that you can turn to them whenever you need.
Great. That can help you kind of like transition to different roles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the last suggestion I do have for you is, rather than harboring all of the anxiety, the stress, the stories in your mind, obviously a lot of the women that you encounter or teens, it's confidential what they say to you, so you can't get into specifics. But everybody needs a coach. Even I have coaches that I turn to. So when I'm having a day, I can turn to them and I can just chat and kind of download what's in my mind. And so you want to think about in your life, who are those people that can just be sounding boards for you, people that will let you download the stresses of the day and kind of take it in. Do you have someone like that in mind?
My mom is that person for sure, but I would definitely love to kind of like establish that with somebody in like the town that I live, like in person.
Well, and I bet other people at work with you, I bet they encounter the same anxiety, the same stress.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's kind of having a buddy outside of work that can relate to what you go through. You know what I mean? But I think if you come up with that support structure as well, that will kind of guide you through the day and give you somebody that you can turn to. But if you try those, I know you will have the access to get out of those moments where you feel burdened and be able to transition into being who you are in all the areas of your life.
Right, without carrying that, without anything like the energy being brought down.
Absolutely, absolutely. So give that a try, but we definitely appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, thank you for letting me call in. I appreciate talking with you.
You got it. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. I love that she asked that question, because sometimes we have to get resourceful. It's about identifying who are the people in your life that you can turn to. Now, sometimes that might be people that will listen to you, kind of take in all the stress and all the junk of our day. Other times, it's people that will give you good advice. They're not always the same people. Sometimes it's somebody who is great at technology or good at history, or someone who's a good writer, an editor. Maybe you want them to look over a paper that you're writing. It's all about considering using and leveraging people in your life to help guide you and give you the support that you need. Now, also, we want to look at time as a resource. I always share with people, I love having a schedule, not because I love going half an hour or 15 minutes in a row from appointment to appointment, but it guides me. It allows me to know that at the end of the day, I'm going to achieve everything that I need to. And so you want to think about in your life, in your week, in your day, what can you schedule out to give you that freedom, to give you that direction? A schedule is an excellent resource. You also want to look at things such as places that you can go. You know, sometimes they say in life a man needs a man cave or a woman needs her own space. That is no joke. Think about a place in your home, maybe at work, maybe in your car when you're by yourself, a place where you can just be at peace. That's really important to have that spot that you can go to get centered. But if you do all of those things and really evaluate the resources that you need to stay on point, then you will, and you'll be living your life full out. So stay with us. We're going to be coming right back with Teresa Sullivan. We'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite. Look out! And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about how to be resourceful in life. Because we know that those curveballs, those unexpected moments in our life are going to come up, but it's how you stand up for yourself, how you be resilient against those challenges. And our inspirational guest today, Teresa Sullivan, she is such a beautiful example of what it means to live full out. Being diagnosed with HIV did not hold her back from reclaiming her life and going after it in a big way. So I'd like to welcome Teresa to the show.
Thank you, Nancy. It's my pleasure to be here and to share my lived experience and my personal story of survival and what it took for me to get from where I was and where I am today. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And honestly, you're my kind of gal, I'll tell you, because you're courageous, you're fearless, and you probably weren't that way every step of the way, which is what we'll talk about. But again, you're in life, we're not measured by, who we are in individual moments. It's kind of the whole legacy. And you've built a great one. So I can't wait to share your story with our audience here. But let's take them back in time, okay? So let's talk about the environment and the relationship that you were in for 12 years, first of all.
Okay, yes. So the relationship I was in for about 12 years was a very abusive relationship. It was also a relationship where there was drug use involved on both parts. It was a very dark time in my life where I was struggling. And it also was the same time when I got my HIV diagnosis. My partner used that against me to keep me in the abusive relationship. I want to step back for 1 second before we go too far into the diagnosis, because I think the thing that's important for us to share with the audience here is how that diagnosis came about. Because, you didn't have, it's not like there's obvious signs of HIV. What led you to getting that test done? Okay. So what led me to getting tested for HIV was the fact I was on a methadone program at the time, trying to get my life together, and live straight and without any drugs involved in my life. And I was at a clinic, and I was offered the test. And in my mind, I was like, sure, I'll take the test, not even thinking about HIV at all being a possibility. Weeks went by. I forgot I even took the test. I was called into the counselor's office, and I thought something was wrong, but I wasn't unsure what it was, and was told that my HIV test came back positive. So in that moment, when you're told such a thing, you just freeze up, and it seems like the world just starts moving around you. And the first thing I said to the counselors was, it must be wrong. You need to take that again, right? And she said, no, we did it 3 times in the lab, and it's correct. Instead of offering me any support systems for me to get involved in or connecting me to a doctor, she handed me a box of tissue because I was crying. And I just felt like my whole world around me just crumbled at that stage where I was trying to pick my life back up. It impacted the way I interacted with my family, how I felt about myself and my self-esteem. I was trying to build that back up, and it just knocked me back down.
Well, I'm just curious, Teresa, because in that moment, did you wonder if you received this HIV from your own drug use, or did you immediately think of your partner and perhaps you got it from him?
I immediately thought from my partner. And because he never got tested, he claimed he got tested, but I'd never seen the results. And then I was in between, maybe it was the drug use, maybe it was my partner. I didn't have a clue. So I was in state of like confusion of like, how did this happen to me? You know, what part did I play in this? So I was unsure if it was exactly from my partner, but later on, as I got better, I found out it wasn't my drug use. It was my partner, because he was positive the whole time and didn't tell me.
And he didn't tell you. And as you, I know that whenever anybody is given a diagnosis, I remember even when I was diagnosed with RP, my blindness, I can appreciate that moment where you're frozen and you're not sure what to do. And I know for you, there's about a good year in there where you were in denial that this was even happening. But as you started to tell people, did you find that people were supportive, or did you find that you know, that stigma of HIV and AIDS, that it was real, that you felt that people were treating you differently?
So when I began to tell people, the first people I did tell about my diagnosis was family. For me and my family, because HIV wasn't something new in our family, I had several relatives that passed away in the 80s. I had a sister who had lost her fight to AIDS diagnosis. And when I told my oldest sister about it, I was in the hospital because I tried to kill myself, because I thought I was like, that was the only last thing for me to do, you know, like I couldn't live with this. And fortunately, I didn't die, you know, and I called her and told her, and she supported me through it. But in the community of like disclosing about your status back then, and I'm talking about the 90s, it was hard, right? Because there was a lot of stigma about being positive. You must have did something wrong. You deserve this. Or the one that I hear back then was, God's punishing you because this is your punishment because you wasn't living your life right. So there's a lot of stigma back then, and right to this day is still a lot of stigma. That's what keeps people from getting tested and staying in care.
Yeah, and I imagine that is just so heavy and frustrating when you know that this is a diagnosis that could kill you, and you've seen it even in your own family. It's like the last thing you need is people to treat you differently and to allow that stigma to kind of wash over you and make you feel so bad about yourself that you decided to try to commit suicide, which, you know, we're so glad that you did not. And, you know, we're going to be coming back into, we're going to go to a commercial break and come back in a second. But I think one of the things I want to focus on when we come back is just, again, the signs, you know, what as a whole could we look out for? Because I know for you, it almost felt like the flu. And so I want you to kind of stay with us on that. And when we come back from the break, that's where I'd like to pick up. Because for everybody listening today, yes, Teresa is diagnosed with HIV, but that could be any of us. And it could be drug use. It could be a partner who doesn't know they have it. It could be so many reasons. And Teresa has so much knowledge on this because she deals with it every day. So I want Teresa, stay with us, and we'll come right back and continue on with your story. Okay? Okay. And so just consider the fact that we are talking about today how to be resourceful in your life. So apply the lessons learned from Teresa to your story, and we'll be right back after this break. This is Living Full Out. I'm Nancy Solari. Stay with us.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And we're talking about today how to become resourceful in our lives. How do we turn to people and utilize time and even our own instincts to guide us in living a life full out. Now, our inspirational guest today was diagnosed with HIV, but that didn't prevent her from living her life in a big way and finding ways to be resourceful and take a life that was off track and put it back on track and just really reclaiming it. So I give her so much credit because she's so courageous and in sharing her story with us today. So I'd like to welcome Teresa back to the show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi there. So I want to ask you a question. So I know that your diagnosis came about because they asked if you wanted the test and you said, sure, why not? Not thinking that you would actually have it come back positive. But for anybody else who does not get that test done because they're not asked, would there be any signs that people would recognize to know, well, gosh, maybe I should get checked out for HIV?
Yes, Nancy. So for those who are not being offered the test and, want to know what's going on with them, the first time they want to get it, and we ignore this sign a lot because it's like a flu system, like you have this bad cold or this bad flu, and for a couple of days, and it goes away, and then you feel normal, and you feel healthy, and you feel like everything's okay. And at that time, if you are positive and you don't know it because you didn't get the test or it wasn't offered to you, there's that opportunity for the virus to multiply inside your body and start to tear down your immune system. So that's one of the very first signs. There's another sign that is not so much happening today, and it was wasting, where a lot of people in the early part of the epidemic was losing their body mass in the facial structure and the bone structure, and it was, a sign like, hey, something's wrong. Maybe I should go to the doctor. So what I say to people, regardless if like you get a flu symptom or you think you're at some kind of risk of even having or coming in contact with HIV, that means if you're having unprotected sex with multiple partners, or you have a history and current history of drug use, or you just have some risky behaviors that can put you at a high risk of having HIV, you should, if no one's offering you that test, today you can ask for that test, and that test can be free. At your local health centers, if you got a primary care doctor or a private doctor, you can ask for that test.
Yeah, and that may be a scary test to ask for, but it could be life-saving. And the thing is, I would like for you to also educate us on the fact that, when you were diagnosed and when you were told that you had HIV, you actually had AIDS. And kind of give us an understanding of what your numbers were and kind of what the difference is between AIDS and HIV and how one becomes the other.
I'm so glad you asked that, Nancy, because there's a lot of confusion. What's the difference in having HIV and an AIDS diagnosis? Time I got, and this happens to a lot of women, that time we get tested, we test not for HIV, but we test for AIDS diagnosis, meaning that there has been a time span that went by where the virus had the opportunity to tear down our immune system to the point where we either have an opportunity infection or we had a high viral load inside our bodies. And this happens to a lot of women because we test late. And because we don't think we're at that risk, we ignore the signs, especially when we're talking about women who are in intimate partner violence relationships. That's not her top priority of things. She's trying to survive through this relationship the best way she can. So
what were your numbers when you were diagnosed? What was your numbers when you were diagnosed?
Oh, definitely. So the time I got diagnosed, and I was diagnosed with an AIDS diagnosis, it was 14. Now, just to be clear so the audience will know that the average range for anyone's CD4 count is 500 to 1,500. That's the normal range, positive or not. Mine was 14.
And when you're diagnosed with AIDS, it's 200 or less. So even at 200, someone could be diagnosed with AIDS.
Yes, exactly.
And so you were a 14, and anybody 200 or less is considered having AIDS. So does AIDS then become HIV once you're able to get your numbers up past 200? Or how does that work?
Great question. Just so for clarity for the audience is that if an AIDS diagnosis is you have a spiral below 200 or an opportunity infection, right? So that's what an AIDS diagnosis is. It doesn't mean that it's the death sentence no more, right, today. It's just a marker that there was a time span where the virus was able to attack your immune system and multiply inside your body and cause harm. But the good news is because of the advancements of medication, that people even diagnosed, and including myself, with a low CD4 count can get on medications, and the CD4 count can go up. The viral load is suppressed to where it's undetectable, right, today. But the thing about this, you're going to always have the AIDS diagnosis on your medical record. And it's a good thing that it's there because it helps your provider who's taking care of you to make the best healthcare practices decisions for you as a person that did at one time have this diagnosis, right?
Well,
so they can put you on the right medication.
Well, and I'm just curious because when somebody is diagnosed with, it could be any health condition, but especially one that's lifelong, okay? How do you not walk around feeling like you have a label on your forehead? I have AIDS. How do you package that away, or how do you disconnect from that and allow yourself to step into being you?
So, Nancy, I think that it's really hard and difficult to walk around and not feel the impact of even what our society or our community thinks about us as positive people. But it's always about self-empowerment, right? About how you feel and how you want to improve your life, right? And knowing that you're valuable, and that you have your life is worth living, right? And that's not done just in a silo by yourself. That's done in supportive systems and networks of people who can help you and care about you. And we're so fortunate today to have such a network around today that help people who are living with HIV, so they don't feel like they're alone. They don't feel like everyone's walking around and like you got a tag on your forehead that says HIV.
Well, and you're a large part of that just in talking today. And when we consider AIDS and HIV, a lot of times we associate it with movies like Philadelphia, or we hear about Magic Johnson, or we hear about other celebrities who are diagnosed with HIV. Charlie Sheen, right? Is that inspiring to you to have those movies and those celebrities step forward, or in some cases is it frustrating because their road is not your road?
That's a double-edged sword question. I think it is empowering that these celebrities who are living a different life from people who are not movie stars or celebrities, or they have a different world. But when they step out to bring awareness to the fact that they're living with HIV, it can be empowering for another person who's first diagnosed that, hey, this person did this and they're a celebrity and this could have caused them some harm by being a celebrity, by coming out and outing themselves, right? To bring awareness to HIV is an empowering thing. The other part about that is that you don't, it's a different road for people who are not celebrities. Their lives and their lifestyles are so different. So because people who are celebrities, they have access to a lot of things that people who are not celebrities don't have access to, right? So,
like different dietitians or nutrition or workouts.
Like Charlie Sheen, let me use Charlie Sheen because he's the latest one, right?
Right.
That he stepped out and brought awareness to his diagnosis publicly. He has access to money for nutritionists. He has probably a nice doctor, very educated. He probably has someone that helps him exercise.
Yeah.
And all those other things that just cost people to have, that cost money to have in your life. Right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing about it, is that he's not on no different medications than we are, right? He has to take the same medications out here. That's the thing. But the other thing that he does have is access to all the things such as
the different resources. Exactly.
The resources, exactly, that we don't have.
We're almost towards the end of our interview here, Teresa, but I have to ask you one other question before I let you go, because this is an important one. Today, everybody, just so you know, Teresa did start dating. Today, she's actually married, and, she has, like I said, reclaimed her life, and she's actually healthier today than she's ever been. But just real quick, for those who do have HIV, how did you start that conversation? Just real quick, 1 minute or so. How did you tell people about your diagnosis?
When I was dating, I made sure that I was in a safe environment, where I can disclose if it was going to that level where I wanted this relationship to go any farther. And I just started with the fact that where I worked at, the agency I work for is a big agency where in the city of Philadelphia that direct service with people who are HIV positive.
So you just made sure. So you just made sure that you are mainly in a safe place, and so I think that's the thing we want to think about. So Teresa, we are at the end of our time. I could talk to you for hours, but I want to thank you so much for being on today's show. And gosh, we'll be thinking about you, and we appreciate you so much for being on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy. It was such a pleasure to have this conversation on live video.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Teresa. And everybody who's listening, we'll be right back taking your calls. It's all about being resourceful today. We'll be back after this break. Stay with us. It's the Living Full Out Show.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're going to jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? I'm Andrew Hoffman. I invented the Lost Cat Magnet. Just turn it on and lost cats stick to it. Just listen to one satisfied cat. That's proof. You should invent stuff too. But remember, don't do a Lost Cat Magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say, we want you to be okay. Enroll, we say, take care of people for goodness sake.
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
Think about leveraging the people, the time, and those talents and skills that you have. Because when you're able to assess what it is that you need and then be willing and able to ask for help, support, and put together a plan of action, now you're able to step into living full out in life.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
And here we are again, Living Full Out show. And today we are talking about how to be resourceful in life. And I don't say that lightheartedly because I get it. Sometimes when we're in the heat of the moment, the overwhelm, the burdened feelings, it's hard to feel resourceful. It's like, where do you even turn to? But that's why we're here each week, to give you that mindset, that motivation, and that action plan. And I welcome anybody who calls into the show each week, because you just step out there, ask, and then you'll receive not just advice, but also the resources you want. You just have to ask. So I'm actually getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. So we're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for calling in. How can we help you today?
Hi, so I'm leaving my job in a week, and I've been applying to many jobs. I'm just kind of nervous, a little bit overwhelmed by scheduling all of them and the interview process. So yeah,
I get that.
Want some advice on there.
I get that. It's funny. It doesn't matter if it's looking for a job, online dating, you name it, or dating in general. A lot of times when we're going after something, it can be very overwhelming. But what I want to invite you to think about today, and really put together a list, if you can, of all the positive skills that you have to offer, the attributes that are only signature to you. And if you're not sure what those are, take 5 people, call or email them, and ask them, if you had 3 words to describe me, what would they be? Or if you were going to turn to me for advice, what would it be for? And let others tell you what you might not be able to see. And you want to put together that list, that vision for who you are. Because it's really easy to go into an interview and see everybody in the waiting room, or just know that, they've had back-to-back interviews. And you want to go in strong, standing tall, not feeling like you're a number, but that you're a unique signature you. So what would you say is one of your skills or one of your talents or attributes that only comes from you, that they can't find in anybody else?
I'm always just curious to learn new things. I'm very tech savvy, so I like just playing around with different type of tools online.
Okay. Do you think a company would benefit from someone like that?
Yeah, definitely. Since there's always new technology coming out, so I feel like that'd be the best.
And what's another positive? Give me one more.
I'm really patient.
Okay.
I can stick. I can help people with their problems, and then have patience to keep listening to them and that type of thing. Yeah.
Perfect. And so here's what I'm suggesting. Just like how I just said, give me 1, give me 2, and you are coming up with an answer. The first one, out of the gate, technology, you had right there. The second one, patience, you had it, but you had to kind of think about it. This is why you want to put together that list. And when you put together a list of the skills and talents that are signature you want to put a story or a reference to them, ideally in a career perspective, so that you can just rattle these off super easy. Because you want to go in there and you want to say, listen, I'm not saying this from a egotistical way, but honestly, I'm passionate about what you do. I know I could do what you want, and this is why. Just be ready to go. Okay? And the other thing I want to share with you is when you're at home and you're emailing, faxing, mailing off these resumes and cover letters, I believe, honestly, give it a kiss for good luck. Say a little prayer, whatever you want to do. And make sure that rather than having a generic cover letter, you do customize it. In the first sentence, second sentence, say something unique and special about the person you're meeting with or the company you're applying to work for, because they will read that and that will hit home to them and that will keep them reading. If everybody else just puts together that generic cover letter where they kind of go on and on and on about themselves, everybody knows that's just a copy-paste situation. Make yours unique and special. But I do believe if you do that, you will be a standout. You already are, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That doesn't sound very positive. Are you?
Yes, I am.
Yes. And that's the thing, that confident you. Say yes, put together that list of things that are signature to you, kiss your resumes for good luck, send them out there. And I know you won't be without a job for long, but it's not about just finding a job. It's about finding a career that you love. Okay? And I know you will. So thank you so much for calling in today.
Welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And I want to say thank you to all the guests who called in today to the show, because it is about getting resourceful, putting yourself out there, figuring out who are we? What do I have to offer to people? And that could be for a career, dating, who knows? But that's what being resourceful is about. Looking at yourself in the mirror, being honest about what you need to change, but also relishing and appreciating what you're good at. It's all about living full out. Our entire Living Full Out family, thanks to you for listening today. We got Aaron and Rich and Riley and Amanda and everybody who's dedicated to assisting you in living your life full out. Have an amazing day. Go out there, be resourceful, ask for support and help when you need it. I believe in you. Have a great day. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.